Let's make some miniature dollhouse drinks for Valentine's Day. And welcome to my channel, Notorious Crafts, where I show you how to make all kinds of miniatures for dolls. I ordered these miniature plastic cups, and I'll put a link to them down below, as well as any of the supplies that you see me using in this video. I like this set because it comes with a large variety and different styles of cups. Some of the cups do not want to stand up straight because there is a little tiny plastic piece at the end, so I'm just using my X-Acto knife to cut that off so that the cup will stand up straight without wobbling. To make the liquid inside of the drinks, I am using UV resin, so I'm starting off by pouring some of the resin into some silicone mixing cups. And I have some of these resin dyes that I'm going to use for coloring the drinks. I'm using this white opaque dye for the white drinks that I want to look more solid instead of transparent. I also pre-mixed all of my resin colors before I started working so that I could make all of the drinks at once. First up, I'll show you how to make these cute little pink drinks with hearts in them. I mixed some of the pink resin dye into the opaque white resin to get this pastel pink color. I'm filling up the cup one drop at a time using a toothpick, and this also helps prevent getting air bubbles. And then I placed it under a UV light to cure and harden. For the whipped cream, I'm using some of this white whipped clay that already came with some of these special nozzles that create a whipped cream effect. For this clay to harden, you just leave it out in the open for 24 hours and it'll harden overnight. It does deflate slightly over time, so add more than you initially want. I'm using these tiny red polymer clay hearts that I got in a set as a decoration in the drink. I'm also adding them in while the clay whipped cream is still wet and hasn't hardened yet. And here's the final result. As you can see, some of the clay did deflate a little, but they're still very cute. Next, I'll show you how to make some of these martini-style drinks. To make the red candy rim, I'm chopping up some red clay into thin strips, and then I'm going to bake it to harden it. After I baked it and let it cool, it is hardened, and I'm using an X-Acto knife to chop it up into some really small pieces, and I'm trying to cut it up really finely. To attach the red decoration on the rim, I'm adding some resin just around the rim and then dipping it into the finely chopped polymer clay that I cut up. I did add it one small section at a time, and then once the resin was fully covered with the red clay, I placed it under a UV light to harden. Once the resin hardened, all of the decorations are fully attached onto the cup. And now I'm going to start adding some of the pink resin inside of the cup, one drop at a time. I'm going to be very careful and do this process slowly so that you do not drip any of the resin on the decoration that you just created on the rim. And now I'm filling up the second cup, and then once I'm done, I'm placing them again under a UV light so that the pink resin can harden. And here's the final result of these drinks. Next up, I'm making some of these layered milkshakes. I wanted the darker layers at the bottom, so I'm using some opaque red resin on the bottom layer, and I'm just filling it up about a third of the way since I'm going to have a total of 3 colored layers. And then once I'm done with the red layer, I'm putting it under a UV light to harden. You want the resin to be hardened before you start the next layer, otherwise the colors will blend together. The next layer that I'm adding in is the pink resin. The pink layer is also going to be 1/3 of the cup. And then once I'm done, I'll place it under my UV lamp. Next, I added the final layer, which was the white layer, and put it under a UV light. Now it's ready to decorate with the white clay whipping cream. As I was applying it, I did swirl it to give it a lot more height and to look like a milkshake. For a decoration, I added in this pink polymer clay straw right into the whipped cream. And then I'm going to leave it overnight so that the whipped cream can harden. And here's the final result of the milkshake drink. These are the next drinks that I will make. I'm going to decorate the drink using some of these polymer clay hearts. These drinks are fairly simple to make. I'm just using some red transparent resin and filling it up to the very top of the cup. The polymer clay heart to cure upright, I hold it with some tweezers while it cures under a UV light. Here's the final result of these simple heart drinks. Lastly, I'll show you how to make these layered drinks with a lip decoration on top. The base layer is pink pastel resin, and I already cured it so that it is already hardened, and now I am adding a white layer on top of it. I am filling the white layer completely to the very top. And while the white resin is still wet, I am adding this lip-shaped polymer clay on the very top and then putting it under a UV light to cure. And here is the final result of this drink. Here are all of the miniature dollhouse drinks on top of my miniature table. Overall, I'm really happy with how these turned out. My favorite drink has to be the layered milkshake drink. I wish I had added some more of the whipped clay to the two drinks on the very right side. It would have just given the whipped cream a little bit more height, but they still turned out very cute. And I did get some air bubbles in the red drinks. I'm not sure how that happened. I think after I had added the hearts in, some air bubbles formed, but you can't see them from afar. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these was your favorite and if you plan on making any of them. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel.